Y'all ready to get into God's word today? All right. So we're in a series called Letting Go. Why should I? And how can I? I want to make sure you understand that letting go is not easy. But I want you to really get this, and this is the crux of the entire talk. If you're a note taker, this is everything right here. There's no healthy future without letting go of the past. There's no way you can actually have a healthy future if you don't let go of what happened to you in the past. It's so important that God really leans in on this more than other topics. There's a lot of topics that he talks about that he, Jesus talks about when he comes here in the earth. But forgiveness is one, and letting go is something that he really leans in on. He even put it in the prayer, the model prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Forgive us. It says, give us our daily bread. Don't forget to give us our daily bread. But then he says this, forgive us our debts just as we forgive those who have debted us. Like, forgive us our sins just as we forgive those who sinned against us. And it's like, oh my God. So he put that as like one of the things in the prayer. Like he said, if you want to pray like this. And he talks about forgiveness. So forgiveness is big, and I know it's difficult. It's very difficult when something ugly has happened to you. Because in life you got the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? You got good things that happen, consequences from bad decisions. Those are bad things. You made some bad decisions. Those are bad things. Good things, God just bless you. Some weird reason he take a liking to you. He shines his face on you. You don't deserve it, but you get some good things in your life. How many of y'all had some good things and you didn't deserve it? It's like, man, this is God. Good things. Then you have bad things because you may have made a decision and you have consequences. So you got good, bad, and then here's the ugly. The ugly is things that have happened to you that you had no control over. How about children that get molested? They had no control over it. It's just ugly. They couldn't control it. It was just something that happened. How about you get in an abusive relationship and you're in a relationship and your spouse beats you or verbally abuses you. You can't do anything about it. That's ugly. It wasn't because of your decision. It was because someone else chose to do things wrong to you. But you got to let go because there's no healthy future without letting go of the past. Forgiveness and compassion are linked. If you want to be able to forgive, you're going to have compassion. In order to have compassion, you need to be able to forgive. Like, it goes hand in hand. If you're holding on to something, it's difficult to have compassion at the same time. It's just very difficult. I know when I've been mad at someone or I had a grudge towards someone, I ain't got no love for you. None. Like, I can't find none. You come around, I don't want to talk to you, because there's no compassion when there's no forgiveness. And to be honest, there's always a conflict over forgiveness. Have you ever noticed that there's always conflict over forgiveness? If you follow me here, you understand that there's always conflict over forgiveness. And what does that mean? That means that, so many times in life, there's a conflict between you and another individual, or in your marriage, there's conflict in your marriage, there's conflict in, relationship with your children. So follow me here. There is always a conflict over forgiveness. I want you to get this, because when you get this, you understand, this causes for me to forgive, because there's going to be conflict. When there's conflict, you're going to have to forgive. It's always conflict over forgiveness. First of all, the conflict often happens on the outside, but then you begin to start internalizing. Have anybody experienced that? Somebody done something to you, then you start thinking about, hold up. And you start internalizing, and then you have conflict on the inside. You have conflict on the inside. It's a war. Someone done something on the outside, and then it begins to seep into the inside. And you have conflict on the inside of your heart. You have a conflicting feeling about that person now. You have a conflict, you feel some type of way, right? Like, their name pop up. You're like, because you got a conflict where? On the inside. There's always a conflict over forgiveness. So there's a conflicting desire on the inside of us when we have unforgiveness, and even the battle just to forgive. Have you ever felt like you should have let it go, but you just didn't? You feel like, if you ever get married, I'm telling you right now, woo, marriage always brings the best out of you and the worst. I didn't get no amens and no laughs or nothing. It's only the marriage folk. I talk about it on our Marriage Moments podcast. If you have not downloaded or if you haven't went to YouTube and looked at our Marriage Moments, you want to subscribe to our Marriage Moments. Me and Elena has, a Marriage Moments page on YouTube that talks all things marriage. And one of the things that we've talked about is marriage is a magnifier, not a minimizer. It magnifies whatever you had. It magnifies. If you were an angry person, it magnifies now. It's like, whoa, I didn't know I was that angry of a person. If you're impatient, it magnifies. It doesn't minimize. So one of the things that happens in marriage is if you are an unforgiving person, it really becomes humongous now. It's enormous. Because marriage magnifies, it does not minimize. Well, what you want to do is deal with that conflict at heart. You got to get to the root of it. And this is the thought we have to overcome. Many people think that forgiveness helps the abuser escape from accountability. Like so many times I hear people think that when they forgive, like it excuses their behavior. No, it does not. They were wrong. Period. We're not saying they're not wrong. We're saying you shouldn't hold on to it because it's hurting you now. It's hurting you from becoming the person that you need to be. It's hurting you from being loving the way you need to be loving. It's hurting you because remember, forgiveness and compassion is linked. It's connected. So never think when someone abused you or verbally, mentally, emotionally, physically, and you forgive them, you let go. That does not mean they have escaped accountability. They're going to get theirs. When I begin to learn how to forgive, let me tell you something about the journey I had to go through. I remember when I was involved in gangs and drugs, me and this group of people, we got into it in 1996. And in 2004, we was still tripping. Like I was still on one. That was 8 years later. I done met all kind of other people. I'm still on one. That's how much I held on to stuff. Like I was still on one. Like, hold on, is that? Hold up, man. I think that's, and I still want to get you for. That's how bad off I was when it came to forgiveness. So when I learned forgiveness, I come to realize that, I'm not letting them go. They gonna get theirs. So when I learned to forgive, God had to show me, look, some of us were non-believers in such a way that God got to show you so he can help you believe that it's okay to forgive. So I would forgive and God would literally show me somebody getting theirs for them treating me wrong. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how it works. Okay, cool. So I ain't got to get them. God going to get them, right? Like I would see their whole life go upside down because they treated your boy. I was like, I'm God's golden boy. I felt so good. I was like, okay. So if I forgive, God, you would deal with it. And God, let me tell you, if God deal with it, I'm telling you, you would rather God deal with it. And so if you let go, what happens is God deals with it. I'm telling you, and he does it in a way that you would never be able to do it. So many times when we have abuse in our life, what we believe is that it's not necessary to forgive. Because one thing that happens when you get abused or you get hurt is sometimes when you get infected, it begins to start affecting you. It affects the way you see, your perspective. When you get infected, you get affected. What happens is once you get infected with unforgiveness, it affects the way you see things. it affects the way you deal with people. It affects your perspective. You start getting all skeptical now. Every time somebody come roll up, you're like, what's up with him? You're trying to figure out how they going to try to do you. You're trying to look for how they're going to try to manipulate you. Why? Because now it has affected you because you've been infected. Are y'all following me today? It's so good to know that we can let go. There's always been a conflict when it comes to forgiveness. Because you have a good reason why not to forgive, right? I mean, you got a good reason. It's not like you don't have a good reason. They gave you a good reason because of the way they treated you, the way they acted, the way they conducted themselves, the way they spoke to you, the way they, looked at you, the way they done things to you. Like over and over again. Not just one time. I want to say this also. Forgiveness does not mean that you have to allow yourself to be in a position of vulnerability to be hurt by that person all over again. Are y'all getting this? I don't know how many people, and they try to treat Christians like we just marks or something. My 90s is showing. I don't think they use that word no more. But like they think, they make it seem like you just weak. Don't mistake meekness for weakness. Just because meekness means I'm under control of God's power. Weakness means, you know what I'm saying? I'm just somebody you're going to trample over. No. I'm going to forgive you, but I'm going to set up a healthy boundary, and you ain't getting in that space no more. I'm going to put up a healthy boundary. And that don't mean I'm unforgiving. That just means I'm wise. That just means I'm not going to put you in my space again to be able to deal with me and hurt me like that again. Are y'all getting this or no? Think about this. Somebody steals something from you. You left them in your living room. You trusted them. They stole some money off your table. That don't mean bring them in the house tomorrow. Okay, you got me. But you won't do that again. Why? Because I'm putting healthy boundaries up. I'm not going to hold it against you, but I'm if you fool me once, it's, hey. But if you fool me twice, meaning if you're in an abusive relationship, if you forgive someone, it's okay to break up with them. There's nothing wrong with that. But that don't mean you didn't forgive. Follow me today. I'm going to tell you there's this big issue called cancellation now. People cancel. And that makes it be a fading popularity of forgiveness. There is a fading popularity of forgiveness, and I'm not talking about outside the church. I'm talking about inside the church. I'm talking about there's Christians holding grudges. Now, I don't fool with them. Like, what? Like, I understand you putting a boundary up, okay, but you can't hold anything. You got to let go. Well, we have to let go. It's so important to get this because many are finding that the concept or the ideal of forgiveness is problematic. What you think is, well, if I forgive, the perpetrator is going to continue to abuse me. And that don't mean that. The person that abused me is going to keep on abusing me. No, it don't mean that if you put up healthy boundaries. So we're going to talk about healthy boundaries through this series, but today I want you to get this. This fading popularity of forgiveness is not from God. It's not from God. September of 2018, a woman named Amber Geiger, she went into her neighbor's apartment, and she saw a young man inside the apartment, shot and killed him. Here in Dallas, Texas. Dallas police officer Amber Geiger goes into their neighbor's apartments, sees a young African-American man watching television, shoots him and kills an unarmed man. Botham Jean. He's unarmed. He's in his own apartment watching television. So Amber Geiger, which is the police officer, she actually gets sentenced. And at the sentencing, Botham Jean's brother, which is Brant Jean, true story, is at the sentencing and goes over to Amber Geiger, the police officer who killed his brother. He went to the officer and gave her a hug and says, I forgive you. Now, when that stuff was released in the media, it was a whole bunch of mixed emotions. Now, I'm going to speak from an African-American stance because, I can't speak from nowhere else. and I mean, especially on this state. So the African-American community was crazy. That's what's wrong with it. We forgive too much. We forgave them for having us in slavery. African-American community, not everyone, but they were going crazy. Because they was wanting, hey, why would you forgive them for killing your brother? But the reality is that person done the right thing. Brant Jean done the right thing, even though it was difficult. But now, because we're living in this society where forgiveness is not popular, it's fading. And matter of fact, I want to submit this statement to you. Matter of fact, this is one thing I want you to get. Society is ebbing away from forgiveness and gradually gravitating towards consolation. They just want to counsel. I'm going to counsel you. Now, I'm not talking, consolation is a little bit deeper than boundaries. Consolation is me, I'm trying to harm you. If you look at it in celebrities, they counsel you and they mess up your whole livelihood. You don't get no more shows. You don't get no more concerts. You don't get nothing. Consolation hurts their whole livelihood. So consolation is not healthy. Boundaries is healthy. Consolation is not healthy. Remember, we're in a society where we're ebbing away from forgiveness and gradually gravitating towards consolation. But I'm going to tell you right now, we have an outstanding need for forgiveness. We have an outstanding need for forgiveness. We have an outstanding need to give forgiveness, and we have an outstanding need to receive forgiveness. We have an outstanding need to give forgiveness, and we have an outstanding need to receive forgiveness. Let me define forgiveness just so you can make it clear. Forgiveness means making peace with the past. Not being at war with the past. Remember, I said it starts with conflict. Conflict means you're battling. But I'm talking making peace with the past means that, I am not at war with what happened to me. I don't have conflicting emotions when it comes to what you've done to me. I'm not conflicting with, how you treated me. I'm not warring with that. I understand. I stand firm on, I'm through with that. I'm clear with that. I made peace with the past. Whether it was good, bad, or ugly. So important to know that we have an outstanding need. The human needs forgiveness. We won't get away from denouncing our need. We won't get away from deconstructing our need. We won't get away by trying to deconstruct that. We can't get away by trying to denounce it. We need forgiveness. I don't care how tough you are. I've seen people incarcerated and they have these hideous crimes, murders, and they need that burden up off of them. They need that. Even they have a weight on them. And it doesn't matter how tough they are, how many people they hurt, how many people they beat up, how many people they kill. They still have a burden, a weight that they haven't made peace with the past. We have an outstanding need. Now, during Jesus' time serving people in the earth, a group of people brought their friend to Jesus. It was 4 friends, and they brought their friend who was paralyzed to Jesus. There's 4 friends. This guy can't walk. He's paralyzed. They actually got him on a mat. They're carrying him. They're carrying him to Jesus. They're taking him to Jesus. Why? Because they said Jesus is the only one going to be able to do what he needs done in his life. I wish we had friends like that, right? Friends that would take you to Jesus. If you got a friend to do that with you, you should not push them away because that is a good friend. They went out their way to bring this paralytic man, this paralyzed man, this man that could not walk. They took him to Jesus. Now look, they went to this house where they heard Jesus was at. Jesus was actually at this house, and when they got to the house, Jesus had this big old crowd around the house. I mean, he's inside the house, but it's a crowd all around the house because, when Jesus show up, everybody want to come, right? And so they there, and Jesus over doing this thing. He popping his collar, you know what I'm saying? He hanging, right? And he's doing a great job of just ministering to people, and all these people are outside. Now these 4 people come with this paralytic man. This man is paralyzed. He can't walk. He's on a mat. They're carrying him. They get there, and the individuals wanted their friend to get to Jesus so bad that guess what? They couldn't get in because it was a crowd, but what they done was climbed up on the roof. They got on the roof and started digging a hole. They started digging a hole through the roof. They started digging a hole through the roof. Now, this is crazy because those roofs were made of clay and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I don't know if they were using their nails, but these friends were really persistent. So what happens in Mark chapter 2, verse 4, it says they couldn't bring him to Jesus because of the crowd, so they dug a hole through the roof. Look, so Jesus right here, the hole comes, boom. They just dropped the man. They lowered the man on his mat right in front of Jesus. So this man can't walk. He's on this mat. He's carried by his 4 friends. You would think, oh, Jesus